Good afternoon, I'm Vashon Brown with the Midday News. Special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. A reminder as well that you can watch TVJ live by downloading our One Spot Media app in the Google Play Store or the App Store. That's the number 1 followed by the words Spot Media. The police have released the identities of the 3 persons killed in Olympic Gardens, St. Andrew yesterday evening. They are 32-year-old Joseph Kelly, otherwise called Joe Bleach, 20-year-old Nicholas Lindsay, otherwise called Nick, and a 17-year-old Danica Graham, otherwise called Alicia, all of 25th Street. Danica's 12-month-old baby was also shot during the attack and is in serious condition in hospital. The police say the gunmen were traveling in a Nissan motorcar when they opened fire on persons along the road. Investigators have linked the shooting to a feud in the community. Sub-officer in charge of the Olympic Gardens Police Station, Inspector Victor Henry, told our news center that the incident was a reprisal attack following 2 shootings earlier this year. Meanwhile, Assistant Commissioner of Police in charge of the Police Area 4, Kevin Watkins, says very soon the country should start seeing calm in some volatile areas. ACP Watkins says gangs are the police's main target in bringing calm. He says gangs are responsible for 60 to 80% of murders across the country.
Gang and gang activities, and we have quite a few gangs index in our area. We have more about 123 shared among the division and their membership. The good thing and somewhat a bad thing is that these are at the base, which is like isosceles triangle, and when you look at the base. The sad thing is that those persons are available for recruiting. We want to change and impact that element of the thing, and we know that over time, but the policies of the commissioners.
The police have charged the 14-year-old boy who was implicated in the shooting death of a 9-year-old Carla Bailey in Hendon, Norwood on Friday. The teenager was charged with murder yesterday. Head of the St. James Police, Senior Superintendent Marla Nesbeth, who gave the update, said the gun used has still not been found. Reports are that about 5:30, Carla was at her home with another child when the 14-year-old teenager entered. Shortly after, family members who were upstairs heard an explosion. The teenager was seen running from the house. Carla died while undergoing surgery at hospital. The teenager was later handed over to the police. The government is seeking help from the international police organization Interpol to tackle a phone scam that emerged island-wide over the weekend. Mobile phone operators are moving to tackle the wanjiri scam, a Japanese word meaning call and cut. People see missed calls on their phones, and when they call back the numbers, it eats off their phone credit and the con artist benefits. Head of the Counterterrorism and Organized Crime Branch, Assistant Commissioner Clifford Chambers, gave details on the phone scam investigation. In the meantime, Technology Minister Dr. Andrew Wheatley says persons who suspect they may be a victim of the telephone scam should contact its Cyber Incident Response Team. Now, the number is 247-1112 or 702-5210. Persons are also urged to contact their telephone provider or the police. The police are warning members of the public, particularly those who travel using public transportation, to be on the alert for an emerging trend in the corporate area where several persons have been robbed by men posing as taxi operators. The Halfway Tree police say 2 men traveling in a grey Mazda Demio motor car have robbed several unsuspecting persons in the past few days. Passengers have been robbed of cash, bank cards and PIN numbers and other valuables. The men typically operate in the morning and evening peak hours and frequent routes along Malines Road, Pepin and Hagley Park Road, usually heading towards Halfway Tree in St. Andrew. People's National Party General Secretary Julian Robinson says the party is ready to contest the Yalas division in St. Thomas should it be made vacant tomorrow. Julian Robinson was speaking at a press conference called by the party yesterday. The PNP wants the JLP's Dean Jones to step aside as the councillor. The party says Mr. Jones was still employed as a civil servant during last November's local government election, a clear constitutional breach. The PNP has asked Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie to intervene before the matter is brought before the courts.
The matter is going to be heard tomorrow. Now, if If the individual resigns ahead of the court case, then the seat is declared vacant, and then that opens it up to a contest. If the court makes an award, the court can make one or two decisions. If it's in our favor, they could make an award of the seat to the person who was the only legally nominated person, or it could decide on a by-election. I don't know. We'd have to wait and see.
Government officials gathered this morning to pay tribute to one of Jamaica's national heroes, Norman Washington Manleigh. There was a floral tribute to acknowledge the 124th anniversary of his birth. Among those in attendance was Culture Minister Olivia Grange, who shared memories of Mr. Manleigh.
An advocate extraordinaire, a nationalist, a politician and patriot, a man who believed in Jamaica and served this country well. Reflecting on his own life and journey, Manleigh recalled that he, and I quote, had a real capacity to work hard for what he wanted and had an unquenchable belief in excellence.
She reiterated that Norman Manleigh, along with his cousin Alexander Bustamante, laid the foundation for democratic traditions and was an instrumental figure in shaping Jamaica.
Mr. Manleigh believed in our ability to make a success of our country. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we celebrate Jamaica 55 years of self-government for which this patriot and several like him fought, let us be inspired by the example of excellence.
Operations at several Jamaica Railway Corporation JRC offices in Kingston and St. Catherine were disrupted yesterday following a sit-in by workers. The workers protested the non-payment of allowances and what they described as deplorable working conditions. We have more in this report.
Locked to the gates at the Borders and Linstead stations in St. Catherine. The gatekeepers lived up to their names literally as they closed the gates, preventing trains from running as scheduled. It is reported that the police had to be called to monitor the situation in St. Catherine and at the JRC headquarters in downtown Kingston. The Union of Schools, Agriculture and Allied Workers represents railway workers. General Secretary of the Union, Keith Comrie, says a notice was served to the JRC on Friday, insisting that they improve working conditions.
We need proper protection for them. We need outstanding allowances that hold to them. We need the improvement in the residence of all these gatekeepers. Some don't have any, not even a proper rain cloak or lighting system at night. Therefore, we stand dominant with the workers in their protest against the Railway Corporation.
In addition to the non-payment of allowances, Mr. Comrie said that the JRC promised to make all outstanding payments by May 31.
The outstanding issues such as uniform, protective clothing, tailoring allowance, duty allowance, night shift allowance, and also standby allowance. We also demand that management immediately paid the workers their outstanding money for overtime work being done from 2007.
He said that the union will be meeting with workers on Wednesday, which will determine when they'll return to work.
But for now, we continue with our sitting and seek out to have the matter heard and addressed. Failing same, then we'll discuss further action, what to be taken.
O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
In the meantime, the management of the Jamaica Railway Corporation and union officials are locked in a meeting following the 2 days of protest by the workers. Now, the meeting, which started at 10 o'clock, is being held at the old railway station in Spanish Town. In the meantime, some operators at the Jamaica Railway Corporation, some operations have been disrupted for a second consecutive day. The industrial action by the employees affected the haulage of bauxite. Residents have raised concerns about a rodent problem in Sunnyside, St. Catherine, where heavy rains in May caused the river to flood people's homes, trapping some residents inside. Councillor for the Linstead Division, Herbert Garrix, has promised the work would soon be done to clean drains in the area and says steps have already been taken to eliminate the threat of rodents and other pests.
I've through the help of the NSWMA who gave me a truck, as a tractor man to clean up the rubble. I was left in here, after the flooding. People had to throw away mattress and bed and dressers and clothes and all of that. So they're all packed up right here where we are and in a yard across the road and some along the road.
Mosquito, rat, you see right over there, we have some rat in the house, but never had it before because the amount of garbage when there's a pile up high, so. And the rat them come and have them wall up and scatter over the place, inoculate the place. A judgment to get out the rat them out,
The last report I got from the Chief Acting Public Health Inspector is that there is no actual breeding site for mosquito found in here. It's just that any water that would have been lodged anywhere in the roadway or in like a pond behind somebody's home, that would have attracted that, and they would have done the fogging or pour oil or something in those to kill the larvas.
The councillor said he did not receive any reports of a rodent problem. Dr. Kevin McIntyre is now the new PNP chairman for the Frome Division. The selection for the position between Dr. McIntyre and Oral Ferguson took place at the Frome Technical High School in Westmoreland on Sunday. 83 delegates participated in the exercise. Mr. Ferguson received 22 votes, while Dr. McIntyre 61 votes. Dr. McIntyre says he has always wanted to represent the Frome Division and outlined his vision or plans for the division. News further afield now. North Korea has conducted its first successful test of a long-range missile that it says can reach anywhere in the world. Tuesday morning's missile test, which was conducted on the orders of the country's leader Kim Jong-un, reached a height of 2,802 kilometers. North Korea has repeatedly in the past threatened to attack the United States with a nuclear weapon, which the regime claims it has technical capability to do. And in the United States, U.S. President Donald Trump has responded to North Korea's missile launch via the social media site Twitter. We go to the CNN for more.
President Trump defiant in his response to North Korea's 11th missile launch this year, tweeting about North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Does this guy have anything better to do with his life? Hard to believe that South Korea and Japan will put up with this much longer. Perhaps China will put a heavy move on North Korea and end this nonsense once and for all. The president prodding China to do more to confront North Korea, coming one day after a phone call with Chinese President Xi Jinping. The White House saying in a statement that President Trump raised the growing threat of North Korea's weapons program. The Chinese offering a more critical take, noting that the U.S.-Chinese relationship is being affected by some negative factors. President Trump issuing this stern warning on Friday after meeting with the president of South Korea.
The era of strategic patience with the North Korean regime has failed. Frankly, that patience is over.
National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster confirmed publicly that the U.S. has updated its military options against Pyongyang.
We can't repeat the same approach, failed approach of the past. The president has made clear to us that he will not accept a nuclear power in North Korea.
The president's posture towards China clearly changing in recent weeks. Trump appearing to lose faith in Beijing's willingness to take on North Korea.
And in sports, the Reggae Boys could go into the CONCACAF Gold Cup without a kit sponsor. This as the deal with the current sponsor is at a crossroads.
In 2015, the JFF and Asian-based kit manufacturer Ramai signed a 4-year deal to provide gear for the national teams. But 2 years later, the JFF and Ramai could sever ties.
There are some issues surrounding the kit sponsorship, something that we have been in discussion with. I cannot stand here and say that it is a closed deal at this time. Both JFF and Ramai entered into a 4-year deal. There are some issues on the table that we have to work through. And if we can't work through them, then at the end of the day, there are exit clauses and so forth that we might have to consider.
And if both parties fail to reach an agreement, then the JFF could turn their attention elsewhere.
Yeah, we are in discussions with one and two companies, which I cannot disclose those names at this time.
But JFF General Secretary Raymond Grant doesn't want to say how favorable the other parties are about the deal.
I cannot speak to in terms of their interests at this time based on the tenets of the negotiation.
The Reggae Boys are drawn in Group C of the Gold Cup and will open on July 9 against Curaçao, the same team that beat them in the Caribbean Cup final on June 25. Reporting for TVJ Sports, I'm Keon Reyna.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Vashon Brown. Join us at 7 for Primetime News Package. On behalf of the News, Sports and Production teams, have a good afternoon.